Well, welcome everybody to the Explore Episcopal tennis session. I am Alex Smith. I work in the admissions office here at Episcopal High School, and I'm joined today by Hank Harris, who is our varsity tennis coach for both the boys and the girls tennis teams. And we also have Lucy and Thomas here, who are siblings from North Carolina, and so they are on the girls and boys teams respectively. And so we're super excited to have you all here to tell us a little bit more about the tennis program. So, Coach Harris, if you want to kind of lead us off on the introductions, you can do that, and then we'll hear from Lucy and Thomas.
Okay, I've been coaching here for over 25 years, and I have a background of coaching at college level and the professional level, and I've been here enjoying Episcopal and the teams for quite a while. Our facilities we have here are great. We have 12 outdoor courts. We have a fitness center, which we use, and we have a field house, which we have 3 indoor courts, which we share with some of the other teams. So that provides a good source for a lot of playing. You can play as much tennis as you'd like here. We have 2 seasons of tennis for the boys and the girls. The primary season for the girls is in the fall, where we have a varsity and JV team, and the boys have a varsity team there as well. And then in the spring, the boys' primary season, they have a varsity and JV team, and the girls have one varsity team where they play matches. So we have about 12 kids on each squad, and it can be quite a good experience if you want to play a lot of tennis at a boarding school. So that's what I really hope you can get out of this. A lot of tennis and some good experience coaching.
Awesome. Lucy and Thomas, you want to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about what you do at Episcopal?
I'm Thomas Peacock. I'm on the tennis team and I play basketball at Episcopal. I'm a junior and I've been enjoying it.
And I'm Lucy Peacock and I play tennis and I also participate in the dance program at Episcopal. And some of the other things I do at Episcopal are I'm a monitor and I'm on the honor committee. And I would say tennis has been a really good experience for me at Episcopal, along with the other parts of Episcopal life.
Awesome. Well, let's kind of start off in talking about, Coach Harris, you touched on the facilities, but Thomas and Lucy, what is it like to be able to kind of walk out of your dorm room, kind of take us through what a day at practice looks like for you? So what time do you head over there and where are you going and what sort of facilities are you using?
Well, first of all, it's really nice that we have 2 seasons where you can play. Not a lot of boarding schools have that. But so in a normal year, we have at least an hour and a half every day after class to practice, which is really nice. And then the tennis courts are open pretty much until dark if you want to hit with a friend. So, or before sports, you can go early and hit with a friend. So there's a lot of tennis to be played. And then on the weekends, you can use the field house, and Hank will do clinics in the field house or hit with students privately if requested, whatever time of the year.
Yeah, and I think for the girls, it's pretty similar. It's really nice to be able to have 2 seasons, especially since not every sport has 2 seasons. I would say in the fall for the girls, since it's our primary season, we do a lot more match play, a lot more competitive matches. And I'd say we head out to the courts around 3:45 and stay until about 5:45. And that's more for the fall. And then in the spring, Hank doesn't coach our team in the spring. We have a different coach, usually Miss Caslow. And it's been a good experience to continue to play tennis in the, I guess you could say, off season, even though it's not really the off season because we still get to play matches. Although they are not as competitive matches, it's more laid back, which is kind of nice if you just want to play for fun, which is nice to have a good balance of a really competitive season in the fall and a less competitive season in the spring. We've been undefeated for 3 years, my 3 years at Episcopal. So I would say that's pretty exciting.
Awesome. Well, Coach Harris, can you talk a little bit about how your program differs for someone who's looking to play tennis at the collegiate level and then someone who comes in and has never played tennis before? How do you kind of approach both of those athletes?
Well, we'd like to offer tennis for everyone on every level. The higher level players can come in. The league we play in is incredibly competitive. Thomas can say that firsthand. The teams, everybody, I think that we played had a kid. Almost every team we played had a kid go play college tennis. So the high level of tennis on these teams is really intense. So if you are looking to play competitive tennis against tournament level players, you can have that experience. And the people you play, the league teams are all pretty solidly competitive at the top. Now, so that's great. Now, from a very beginner standpoint, it depends on how many people go out and try out for the team. We have, 24 kids on a regular season time, maybe 26 if you're on the varsity JV. So between that, if you're not quite as experienced, hopefully you can, make the JV team and play some. So if you have no experience, it's a little trickier than if you played some. So maybe before you come to school, if you're really trying to, bone up on your tennis a little bit and get better. And if you do that, that's good. So, the tennis is competitive and the league, and the teams are pretty good. So I'd say hopefully the intermediate level, no problem. The very beginner, you might, try to, get a little more tennis experience before you come. So that's how I'd say.
Awesome. Well, Thomas and Lucy, can you talk a little bit about, obviously Lucy mentioned you have a different coach in the spring and sort of how that works if you want to play tennis for both seasons, and how that process typically works out for both the boys and the girls with the, one season is your traditional fall or spring kind of varsity season, and then the other season. How does that work?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty similar on both the boys and the girls for both seasons. For the most part, I would say the same. If there's a little bit of fluctuation between the varsity team in the fall and the varsity team in the spring. For example, my freshman year, I played on the JV team in the fall and I played on the varsity team in the spring because some of our spring players play other sports. Our fall players play other sports. So I would say there's definitely a good balance for you to be able to play. Sometimes you get bumped up in the spring. And I would say if you're looking to only play tennis, more beginner players normally wouldn't play in the off season only because there are only 12 spots and there's no JV team. And it's the same for the boys. In the fall, there's no JV team for them. So I think that it's really fun to be able to have 2 seasons and be able to play and really build that team chemistry, since we do get to play for about 5 to 6 months out of the year.
Awesome. Well, Coach Harris, can you talk a little bit about what your season looks like? So how often do you practice? How often do you play matches? That kind of thing.
Typically we'll have preseason where I pick the teams. We have a great staff of teaching pros, some collegiate players, and we'll gather everybody together and we'll kind of decide who makes the varsity, who makes the JV. So that's usually what happens before the actual season starts. But as the season starts, we have every day about 2 hours of practice. We do some drilling and some, we try to teach some, drill some, and have some match play for 5 days out of the week until the season starts. So usually there's 2 or 3 weeks before the season starts. So we try to decide who's going to play singles, who's going to play doubles, and what the ladder's like. So practice, drilling, matches, find out what the ladder's like, and then when the season actually starts, we'll have 2 matches a week, sometimes 3 matches a week, depending on what the weather's like. And so we'll have less drilling more match play or working on the game when we have when the match is coming up. So sometimes we have away matches. We drive to the places, and they can be anywhere from half an hour to an hour and a half away. Play pretty fun competitive match, and then do it again. So I'd say when the regular season starts, 2 or 3 matches a week, and 2 days of practice, and then before that, 2 hours of practice. The weekends we kind of keep free. We might have a match or 2 on a weekend, but not usually too many weekend matches. So I'm encouraging the team to come out and just play on their own, or come see me, get a tennis lesson, or I have some clinics and things like that if they want to kind of keep, improving their tennis during the season.
Awesome. Thomas and Lucy, Episcopal, and like many boarding schools, you have a lot going on all throughout the year. And so if you're in season, obviously you've got matches and practice every day, but in the off season, how do you approach, do you work on tennis in the off season? Do you guys get together with teammates? How does that work for you while you're trying to balance everything that you're doing outside of tennis?
Yeah, it's really up to the player to decide what they do. Like, there's options to be able to go off campus, which I did last year for a little while to play, or you can play with your friends that are on campus. Like, the tennis courts are always open, and there's always access to tennis balls and rackets for whenever you need to play. So it's really up to the player to decide how much they want to play.
Yeah, and I think in the off season, it's also really nice to have the indoor courts, especially in the winter. The field house is definitely a multi-purpose building. And we can't play matches in there, but it definitely is nice to be able to play tennis in the winter in the field house. I did lessons with Hank my sophomore year in the field house a lot. So I think that in the off season, so I think that it's really awesome to have those indoor courts too.
Great. Well, Hank, what type of athlete, do you usually look for when you're looking to add tennis players to your program? What do you usually want to see in your athletes?
Besides the best tennis player I can find, I'd like enthusiastic, positive players who want to put some time, effort in to improve. I think, we always want that. I think any coach wants good athletes who really are willing to put the time and effort in to improve. And, tennis is one of those funny sports where you're used to an individual sport, and then they have to be willing to buy into, having tennis become a team sport, which I think is kind of neat. So, and I like people who want to put the extra time in. Some people who come in and want to come and work during the weekends. And I'd like people just, enthusiastic, athletic, and I want them to really enjoy tennis. Let's have fun. Let's work hard and then compete and have fun.
Awesome. Well, this question is for all 3 of you, but what would you say, what are some of the reasons why you enjoy being a part of the tennis program? What traditions you can think of, or memories that you have, or things that make, obviously Hank has been here for a long time. So what makes this program special in your mind?
Well, I'll start. I've been here for a long time. I love tennis. I've coached on, I played collegiate level tennis. I've coached on the professional level where it's been, top 10 in the world players. And then going to the high school level, it's really great. It's about, competing and learning how to win and lose and to grow up and, shake your opponent's hands. It's a lot more lessons in life and learning tennis, which has been kind of really rewarding for me, and seeing my students come back and grown up, and we talk about all sorts of important things. It's it's far beyond tennis, but it starts with tennis.
Yeah, so some of my favorite parts of the tennis program at Episcopal is what Hank was talking about earlier, is the team aspect it gives to tennis. Like growing up and playing tournaments, tennis was an individual sport. And at Episcopal, you kind of have to buy into a team mentality for tennis, and it doesn't matter if only one person wins their match, the team wins the match. So that's one of my favorite parts, is how everyone comes together as a team.
Yeah, I think I second that. I think playing tennis as an individual player is fun, but it's also fun to have that team with you. And I play doubles, so that's also really fun for me because it's kind of two people. So yeah, I think the team aspect and kind of the fact that we're able to grow with our team, especially since we have so much time together. I think it's like my tennis team, like we stay together, and I think I've made some of the best relationships I have at Episcopal from playing tennis because of the amount of time we get to spend together and the amount of things we learn about each other from playing on a team together.
Awesome. Well, obviously this was super helpful, I think, for families who are watching this or prospective students. And so thank you guys for being a part of this. And for those of you who are watching, if you have questions about the tennis program, I know that Coach Harris would love to chat with you and to tell you even more about it and kind of get a sense of what your goals are and things like that. So Lucy and Thomas would be great resources to kind of fill you in on the student side of things. So if there are questions that you have and ways that we can help, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know. But thank you for taking the time to watch this.